Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Hello, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, we're going to talk about holiday shopping. Well, that part's fun, right? The other part that's a little bit harder is how to stay on budget. It is that time of year, and we are thinking about ways that we can help you stay on target. So the reality is we get really excited. We see the commercials, we hear the music, and we get pulled into the season, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, shopping can be fun too. However, then we have the stress of like, oh my goodness, how much are we going to spend? How much can we afford to spend for this? So one of the first things that you want to do is kind of look back at what you spent last year to see, kind of what kind of damage was done so that you can see where you were and do you need to tone it down? Do you maybe need to trim it a lot or trim it a little bit or Goldilocks? It was just right. But by looking at what you did last year, it can really give you an indication of what you need to do this year. Again, look at your holiday spending for last year. Best place to do that is your credit card. Pull up your December, January statement and maybe your November statement and look at that. And if you spend with cash, look at your receipts, things like that, and just see what you did. Now, if you are really organized and you keep a list of, who the people you buy for, maybe you have that list already. You can kind of take a look at that. You determine, okay, well, here's my budget per person for this list. If you don't have one, make one. Obviously, before you go shopping, it's good to have a list. Just like when you go into the supermarket, you eat a meal before you go into the supermarket. Otherwise, you come home with food you never even heard of. So when you're going out shopping for the holidays, you want to have your list ahead of time of who you're buying for so that you don't have, long lost friends and family that show up on the list because you saw something that was cute. It happens to the best of us. How to stay on budget and avoiding. The other thing we want to help you do is not just stay on budget, but avoiding adding to your debt. This is a time of year where a lot of people add to their debt and it takes them months to get out of it. And if they could just maybe trim down the budget, maybe not spend as much, then maybe that additional debt won't happen. So let's talk about that a little bit. The other thing about holidays and holiday spend and all the fun things, there's a serious side to it too. Holidays can be stressful for many, many reasons. Family interactions, family members that aren't here any longer, but also the pressure of feeling obligated to spend money. So there's a lot of pressure that adds to you in many different topics during the holiday seasons. We want to be cognizant of that as well. You also want to look at the per person spend and you want to stick to it. What can you afford per person? If you have a lot of people on your list, that per person amount might have to be a lot smaller. If you have less people on the list, maybe it can be a little bit bigger. Maybe it doesn't need to be bigger. Maybe you can control it that way. The other thing sometimes people do is, especially with large families, they consider cutting the adults off and just focusing on the kids. That can work as well. The other thing that you can do is just give yourself permission to spend less than you did last year. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to have some grace and say, you know what, it's okay. I'm not playing keep up with the Joneses or the Hesses or whoever your last name is. I'm not playing keep up with them and I don't need to spend as much money as they are. So I'm going to give myself permission to, trim down the spending so I don't regret it for the next 6 months while I'm trying to pay it off. Another thing that you can think about as far as the adults, you can think about a couple different ways to handle the adults. If you don't want to completely write everyone off, you want to do maybe a white elephant gift exchange. Now, you obviously, again, this is where you can limit the dollar spend here. Each person brings one wrapped gift to contribute to the common pool. Players draw numbers, and then they determine what order you'll go in from there. Players usually can sit around in a circle or some kind of line where everybody can see the gift pile. And then the first person takes a gift from the pool and opens up the chaos chaos that ensues afterwards. And then players after that can choose to either pick their own gift or pick an unwrapped gift from the pool or steal somebody else's gift that already got it. And then anyone who gets their gift stolen in this way can, do the same thing to somebody else. It kind of becomes a lot of fun. Maybe not so good if everyone's really competitive. I don't know. There's obviously some limits that you can put on, some rules that you can put on to games like that to make it go shorter or longer, depends on what you're trying to do. And then the other thing is, after all the players had a turn, the first player gets a chance to swap the gift if he or she is holding something from another open gift. So anyone whose gift is stolen may also steal from someone else, as long as that person hasn't been stolen from yet. And then whenever someone declines to steal a gift, the game comes to an end. So that's one idea. There's other ideas like that out there. I know the white elephant. I've seen that in play a couple times. It's kind of fun, and it's a good way to pass time too. That's one thing that you can do while you're out there buying your gifts, whether or not it's, just this one gift for the white elephant exchange or gifts for the extended family. You've made your list, you've made your budget. You want to make sure you stick to it, right? So you want to actively track your spending. Sometimes I tell people use cash, because if you have a budget and the budget is, say, $1,000, you take $1,000 out of the bank, and when that money's gone, you can't buy any more gifts. In the good old days, right? Older people remember when that's how you did your spending. And once you ran out of money, then you couldn't spend anymore. Well, now it's a lot easier just to keep spending because of the credit cards. That is something that I do recommend to people when they really do have a hard time keeping onto a budget. That's one thing they can do to keep themselves on track. Another thing that you could do is do it yourself gifts like DIY, crafts if you're really crafty, or even homemade items like holiday cookies and cakes. They can be great gifts for people with a sweet tooth. I'll take your cookies. Love, love, love them. So those can always be a good gift for people. And I'll tell you, some people are really, really crafty. And I have gotten a few DIY gifts or homemade gifts, and they have been really impressive. So if you have that mindset, that's a great way to do it, because us non-crafty people really appreciate it. Also, like for the adults, another idea for the adults instead of presents and stuff like that is maybe you all gather together ahead of time, if that's possible. You do it on Zoom, however you want to do it. Consider an agreed upon charity. Maybe everybody puts their favorite charity in, and then you guys have a debate about it, and then you take a vote, you narrow it down, and maybe you do one or two charities or two or three charities, and everybody puts a certain dollar amount in, and that gift either goes to one charity or two or three. And it lets everybody have a little bit of an impact and make them feel like they had a difference. And it also helps us all feel like a little bit of Santa, where we were able to give something to somebody who needed it more than we did. So that's another idea. Another thing would be a secret Santa for the adults. You only buy one gift under a specific dollar amount. And, somebody has the master list to see who's doing that. Another idea, and this one I really do like, I do this with my family, really my mom for the most part. Instead of buying her things and buy experiences, I buy play tickets. I buy things that we can do together and build those memories, just have that shared experience. And then of course I always, hey, we're going to go to lunch or dinner before or after the play as well. So those are great things to do. And, if you have siblings that you only get together once a year or you don't see each other as much, maybe this is a way to get you guys to do something together, as opposed to having to come together just for the holidays. Or, we always wind up meeting people at funerals. I'm sure you guys say it. My family always says it too. Like, we really need to do things other than just funerals. Shared experience could be a way to do that. Let's talk about spending and ways to find deals. Black Friday sales are usually pretty good. Never really been a big Black Friday. Could not go in with those masses of people and do it. But guess what? Nowadays, you don't have to, because all these stores are offering those same deals online. And a lot of times they start before Black Friday. It's like this big competition to, see who can start first. You can use those online ideas. You can also, if you still like going into the mall with thousands of other people, have at it. I do like going to the mall, but not on Black Friday. You can also, a good thing about online shopping is you can price match, and you can go check out, if you're buying something that they sell at many stores, you can go check it out at Amazon. You can check it out at Target. You can check it out at Walmart, all these other places to see who really does have the best best deal and then order it from them. Don't always assume that Amazon has the best price. I have found that they don't always have the best price, but they're obviously very convenient because it's like Santa. You come home from work and there's a present in your front step. It's like a little present every day, Christmas. But it doesn't mean that they're going to have the best price. So you can check a couple different websites to see if the pricing is the best pricing that you could get. Now, variety-wise, Amazon's got it. You got to kind of balance out what you need and what you're looking for. Also, look for coupons online. Obviously, I think coupons, I don't think they work really well on Amazon, but there's a lot of store sites, retail stores that you can go look up coupons for when you're about to buy something and give that coupon online and get an extra discount. And speaking of discounts, let's talk about that. Like, I actually had that happen this weekend. I went into a store to look for some work clothes. I went in, I was like, oh, 40% off, 30% off, 20% off. I'm seeing all these like percentage off. And then I'm like, oh, that's really good. And then I look at the price tag and I'm like, would never pay that for this item. And then when I do the 40% off, I'm like, it's still too expensive. So some of these stores sometimes will actually raise the prices and then throw in that 40% discount to make it feel like you're getting a good deal, but the price is still higher than it would be at another store. So be really cognizant of that. Check the prices before you assume that you're getting a good deal. Some stores, like I said, they'll raise the base price to make you feel like you're getting a good deal, but maybe not. Okay, there's also several websites and apps that can help you quickly compare prices on the go. Now, I have not tried them myself, but I do know some people, some friends of mine who have used them. There's Google Shopping, there's Shop Savvy, there's Buy Via. Those are some of the sites that people use. Again, I haven't used them myself, but I am going to have to check them out this season to see what they do and how they can help me. Beware, though, when you are signing up. Like, I know when you go to a website for the first time, they're like, oh, give us your name, your phone number, or your email address, and we'll give you 10% off. Well, is that 10% worth it? Because sometimes they're also selling your information and then you're getting inundated with a whole bunch of other advertisements and things like that. So you just have to determine whether or not it's worth it to you. All right. Another thing we're going to talk about are reward points. You're using that credit card all year long and you're charging this, you're charging that, and you're accumulating points along the way. This is a great time of year to use those points for gift cards. If you do a lot of your purchasing at one of the big box stores and you can get a significant gift card for that store so you can go do your shopping on your reward points, that could really help you keep in line with your budget. Definitely check out your reward points. Also, I will say, I love that idea. I have done it before, and it is a great way to not spend money out of your own pocket, even though, kind of you paid for it, but also determine where those reward points can be used for a better function. I say that one of the credit cards that I have that I use all the time, I save them. When I compare using them for flights versus getting gift cards, I get a much better deal on using them for flights, those points for flights, rather than turning them into gift cards. I think there's way more value in using them for, flying to go see my daughter somewhere or a trip rather than using them for gift cards. But that's not the same. Like, every reward point program is different across all the different credit cards. Your plan might be the same regardless of whether or not you buy an airplane ticket or you use it for a gift card at a store. So just take a look at it. Always want to be an informed consumer. Okay, here's another thing that's popping up and more that I'm seeing is when you go into a store or you go online. Yeah, usually it's more like online. You go to check out and it's like, oh, okay, well, $100, or you can pay $20 installments over the next however long. And, there's obviously a little charge for that. No, don't do it. That's like basically kicking the can on the lane, right? Is that what that's called? You kind of want to try to avoid that. If that's how you have to buy things, you shouldn't be buying them. You just have to have an honest conversation with your friends and family and say, listen, the only way I can buy Christmas presents is to put it on this card that lets me pay in installment payments. And I don't want to do that to myself because it just adds more pressure to me and it digs me deeper into a hole. Don't do it. It is on almost every website that I go to, and it really is concerning how it's getting easier and easier to put yourself into debt. And that certainly does. And it doesn't seem like a lot, like, $20 payments, but you do a lot of purchasing and it adds up. And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh God, how did I dig myself into this hole? So be just really, really careful. They look like they're there to help you, but it's really not in your best interest for the most part. Occasionally you do have to do things like that, but doing your holiday spending that way probably is not the best plan of action. But a better plan of action could be to start your holiday saving in January. So yeah, I know we're at the end of the year. We're talking about holiday spending. At the end of December, how much you've spent on the holidays. Why not set up a savings plan where, you divide that spend by 12 months, and every month you have money pulled from your checking account into a savings account so that you have that money prepared ahead of time so that next year when you get to here, you can pull it out and already have that money ready to go. I don't know, I'm really dating myself here, but when I was growing up, they had the local banks had these, what did they, Christmas clubs, some other savings plans where you got this little passbook and you would go in and then, you would your money into the bank and they would print it out on a book and then you would take the book home and then you would look at it and you'd be like, oh my gosh, look at all these inputs. And then you take it back the next month and you add more money. I mean, that was a great way to encourage people to save and build up good habits. It's obviously very old fashioned, but that doesn't mean you can't still do some form of that. The vacation club, you can open a savings account at your bank and just be like, all right, every month on the 1st or every month on the 15th, I'm going to automatically push, $100 over, regardless of what's happening. And that's also a savings habit. It's automatic savings. You don't have to think about it because it's one less thing that you have to do. So it's more likely that it's going to happen. So if you set it up on that automatic distribution or automatic funding type of thing. So that is a really good way to, prepare for next year. Even though we're talking about how to save for this year, it's a good way to prepare for next year. With that, I hope this helps. One of my crazy rants, right? But whatever we can do to decrease the stress of the holiday. I do love the holidays. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday, and obviously Christmas is a great holiday, but it is for a lot of people, it's stressful for everyone. Other people have a harder time getting through it. Whatever we can do to make it a little bit easier for everybody, let's try. And I guess our action item today is don't spend more than you can afford, right? Take care of you, financial self, before you start worrying about how much you spend on other people. Okay. Thank you for listening. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth. My LinkedIn, forget all these socials that I'm on. My LinkedIn is Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founder's video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.